All right, welcome to the River Cruising Masterclass. I am so glad you guys are here right now. This is the third episode of our mini series, second river cruise of the 15 top river cruise companies that you might not have heard about before. And I know in your mind you're like, how is there 15? I know of maybe 2. And that's what I'm here to kind of talk about. There's so many things that we don't know that we need to learn about, and I would love to be that guide for you. And I know I sound crazy or I look crazy, but I am really excited about this series because not only are you learning more, I'm learning more because I'm having to do a lot more research on all of these companies to truly understand what their difference is. We are going in alphabetical order on our river cruise companies because I didn't want to play favorites. So we started with Ama Waterways, and now we are moving towards Amadeus. Amadeus is going to be a European family-owned river cruise line that doesn't have a huge spotlight in North America, but it is a gem worth knowing about. If you were ever wondering what a river cruise might feel like if it is run by a multi-generational Austrian family instead of a US-based company, this episode is for you. So Amadeus is known for its old world charm mixed with modern European design, but what really sets them apart is their pricing flexibilities. Unlike most river cruise companies that are going to bundle everything together, Amadeus is going to give you the option. You can just book your cruise fare, you can add excursions, beverage packages if you want them. This means you are not paying for inclusions you won't use, and a lot of savvy travelers see this as a win. There are a couple of cruise lines that do things like this, but Amadeus is definitely going to be one that you might want to look at. This means that this line attracts a lot of seasoned but independent travelers. They are going to be people who don't like to be on group tours. They are very focused on like European style of travel. So if you're looking for the typical feel of an American, like someone who caters to Americans, this is not the cruise line for you. They're going to have a lot of guests from Germany, Austria, or the UK, but English speakers are absolutely welcomed, and you will still find English everywhere. It is going to be more authentic and less polished for American tastes, but Amadeus fits beautifully for a mold if you're looking for a line that is really focused on or really knows that clientele, right? If you want that nonstop entertainment, that hand-holding, or like the certain marketing vibes, this is not going to be your match. When you're on board, it is a very quiet elegance. I was reading online, and basically it summed it up perfectly as it feels like staying in a boutique hotel in Vienna that just happens to be floating down the river. And that's really the vibe. It's smart casual during the day, a little dressier at night, and they do like string quartets and piano music in the lounge. You're not gonna see pool parties or trivia games here. It's very much about like cultural scenery and like slow enjoyment of the journey. One of my clients said that one of the most memorable parts of their cruise was just the simple mornings on the sun deck with a cappuccino, watching the castles and the vineyards, going by on the Rhine, and there wasn't a pressure to be anywhere, and they loved just how peaceful it was. So Amadeus, even though you might not have heard of them, actually has about 14 ships, and each is built in-house under the Luften family, which is who owns Amadeus Cruise Lines. And it really shows its consistency and its finish, because from design to finished product to being in service, it is all done by the exact same family. So the cabin sizes are very much in line with like European luxury standards. Most staterooms are going to be from 160 to 230 square feet, with their larger suites measuring at 284 square feet. Instead of the traditional French balconies or the step-out actual verandas, what you'll see on like lines like Ama Waterways, Amadeus is going to actually do a drop down. So instead of the French door opening like a balcony you'd see on a normal cruise ship, it's going to roll down like the infinity suites that you now see, or basically like a car window is kind of what I think of it as. It's called a drop down panoramic window that opens the entire wall to the fresh air and scenery. It creates an open air feeling without shrinking the living space. The decor is very classic European with plush bedding, elegant fabrics, smart storage. The suites are going to add a sitting area and a larger bathrooms and even a walk-in wardrobe. The design isn't flashy or it's trendy. It's very elegant and resonates with the core of European audiences. Beyond the cabins, the ships include all of the hallmarks that you'd expect. It has that dining restaurant, the panorama lounge with the floor-to-ceiling windows, a sun deck, but it also has a step further in extras you won't always find on river cruises. It has a massage room, a fitness center, and a hair salon on most of its vessels. This means that you can get a blowout or a massage between excursions, and so similar to what we talked about with Ama Waterways, so they include those pieces. Now the dining is going to be, breakfast and lunch is going to be a buffet, and so it's going to have the full bread, pastries, cheeses, made to order eggs, omelets, and then for lunch, as we talked about, it'll be a mix of buffet and plated service. And then for dinner, it is a full multi-course meal. So it's not like you're going to be missing anything in the food aspect. That is all still going to be included in your fare. Regional wines are included with lunch and dinner, and typically one red or one white from the area you're sailing in. For example, a Riesling when you're on the Rhine, or a crisp Vintelier if you're sailing through Austria. And yeah, so those are some of the things that you'll experience with the dining. Now with entertainment on board Amadeus, it's very refined and tied back to the culture. It's not going to be overstated or really hand-holdy like you'd expect, and I say that not in a negative way, but you're not going to have the same level of attention to detail as you would for a cruise line that is focused on the American traveler. If you've ever gone somewhere, for example, it's just like how we have a different level of customer service expectations in the United States versus in Europe. That's going to be the same feel that you're going to feel on this line. So kind of understanding where that sets up. Now with this, guests can do shore excursions with the cruise line, or you can just go off and explore, or you can do excursions separately. So you could have private ones, you can set up all of these extra things. They can include walking tours through medieval towns, museum visits, wine tastings, and you're going to kind of have a full set thing there. They do have enrichment programs into the evening. The cruise director still does do the port talks every evening before you go to the next port. And it's not just logistics, it's going to be history, cultural anecdotes about the towns that you're about to explore, providing that context to kind of make it feel more meaningful. Like I was learning about these like little red hat things in the Black Forest. And they also have a wellness to it, just like in Ama Waterways, which is going to be like your morning yoga and stretching classes. So you can really kind of focus on that sort of thing. It does not have a huge evening section, and no river cruise does. But it's going to be a little bit lighter than others when it comes to that sort of feel. Now, when we're talking about shore excursions, so shore excursions with Amadeus leans to the more of a traditional side. They are going to be well curated and reliable, but think classic European sightseeing. It's going to be walking tours, panoramic coach rides, cultural highlights. For example, in Vienna, guests might take a guided walk through the historic center, followed by a visit to the Schomburg Palace. However, these are not included in the price of your trip. They have multiple ways of doing it where you can buy each excursion individually. You can buy like a 4-pack of excursions, or you can have a pack where it's like all of the excursions are included. So Each sailing offers a la carte excursion choices, so you pay per tour, or bundled packages that'll cover all excursions for one price. This flexibility mirrors Amadeus's overall approach that you only pay for what you actually use. In recent years, they've expanded for their active and discovery excursions, which is going to be more immersive and hands-on options like the cycling tours, a cooking class in Budapest, or like smaller group wine tastings on the Rhine. While not as activity heavy as Ama Waterways or Avalon, it is a nice touch for those who want just a little bit more sightseeing. They do cover most of the rivers in Europe, but they are not anywhere else. So one of the unique features that I have noticed about Amadeus is they choose less common embarkation and disembarkation points. So instead of always starting in Budapest or Amsterdam like most of their competitors, you might board in Passau or Basel, and it creates a slightly different routing. And with my clients and myself who've cruised multiple times, sometimes starting or ending in a different spot will create a whole different experience, and you'll be able to get like 2 or 3 different ports that you might not have seen before. And then being more of a local European-based cruise line, they have those partnerships to explore differently. So the overall takeaway is Amadeus is going to deliver excursions that are classic and cultural at heart, but have enough variety to keep repeat cruisers engaged. Now, in terms of the value for money, one of the strongest selling points for myself for Amadeus is the value proposition. When we're looking at river cruising overall, Amadeus actually comes out 10 to 25% less compared to American-based cruise lines, without sacrificing like ships, food, or service. And that's because it operates this tiered a la carte model. And so your base fare is going to be your cabin, your meals, Wi-Fi, and port taxes. But from there, it's up to you to decide if you want a beverage package, soft drinks, beer, wine, or all-inclusive. If you want an excursion package, either individual or a curated bundle. Airport transfers and hotel nights. And so all of these little extras that are included in the cost on other cruise lines are things that you add to. So you're getting a value, but you also have to realize that you're missing out on certain pieces of this thing. So if you prefer to explore independently, but you don't want to pack and repack every day, I would recommend Amadeus to you. Because you get to kind of have that same feel, but without having to do things. And if you don't drink much, you can pass on the all-inclusive beverage packaging. And it's basically, this is a very European way of structuring travel. And many seasoned guests love this flexibility. So unlike cruise lines like Ama Waterways, Uniworld, where everything is included, it's convenient to be able to see what the price difference is if you're not including that. Tauck and Scenic will take it even further with absolutely everything included, with gratuities, excursions, butler services, but you do pay extra for that unless you're getting there's a couple of sales which make it really worth it to go on those cruise lines. Scenic is having one of those promos right now. I just got an email about it. But you usually are paying an extra premium for it. Now, Viking is going to sit somewhere in the middle because they only have the one included excursion per port. They have beer and wine included at meals, but it's not going to be regional. It's just going to be across the board the same wine, so it has less of the uniqueness of each region. And it has a little bit less flexibility than Amadeus. And so the value of Amadeus depends on your travel style. If you like a pay for what you're using model, you're going to get a much better deal. If you want the all-inclusive simplicity, you're going to find the add-ons frustrating, and it's going to feel like you're being nickeled and dimed. I will say that Amadeus has their French balcony rooms are about 20 square feet larger than Viking, because Viking holds 190 people on board, whereas Amadeus is only at 150, so similar to Ama Waterways. So a lot of clients basically say that they have a unique experience when they go on board. they don't have a luxury price tag, but they're also not paying for things they aren't doing. So if there's someone who doesn't want to do the excursions with the cruise line, that's perfectly fine. Usually if I have a group, we sometimes will do Amadeus, because then we can do private tours. So if there's 6 to 8 of you, we can set it up where you guys all have private tours every city, and you don't have to worry about what the cruise line is doing, and you're not paying an additional cost that you were already put into another cruise line's like price point, if that makes sense. And so you're going to have that sort of thing. So Amadeus is going to give you that European luxury at a competitive price, and it is a fantastic option if you are comfortable building your own package instead of experiencing everything wrapped up in a go for you, like wrapped up in a little bow, perfect, nice, and neat. So for me, Amadeus is going to be that like quiet European cousin in the river cruise world. It is refined, it is graceful, and it's not trying to be the loudest in the room. If you're someone who wants the ability to just like be able to step off and do whatever you want in your destination and not have to worry about being on a guided cruise, but still don't want to have to pack and repack every day, Amadeus is the cruise line for you. That is who it's an excellent fit for. It is not for someone who is wanting to do too much. And so I put together a couple of things of like what it's been in the news for, so we can kind of just go over those high level things. And I will, but yes, so that's kind of one of those things where as we're talking about it, it's yeah, so basically Amadeus has been quietly but confidently modernizing its fleet, and it's been expanding its offering. So in 2023, it launched the Amadeus Riva, which actually include walkout balconies, which is completely new for the cruise line. Before then, it only did the panorama window views, or basically the French balconies. In 2024, we have the Amadeus Nova, which is basically their next generation of ship, and it includes solar panels, energy efficient propulsion, and really focused on like its eco-conscious hull design. This year, it released the Amadeus Amara, which is basically the most environmentally advanced ship yet, and it has a shallow draft construction, which really is great for those that are concerned about the water levels and being stuck in a certain port. Now, in terms of like the guest experience, it's a 5-star tailor-made river cruise program, and it's going to include fly-out cruise bundles. So the flights, gratuities, onboard credits, and make it feel even more premium or exclusive. That is something that's being introduced in 2026. It is the 5-star tailor-made river cruise program for our North American travelers. So we can include the flights in the price, makes it so nice, and I am writing there. They have expanded their active and discovery excursions to make them more immersive for those smaller ports. They've increased their English language outreach, and they do speak English as well as German on their ships, and depending on how many people are there, they might do another language as well. So be prepared for the announcements to be in multiple languages. You could also do the Christmas markets cruises with them, and they have some unique things to that. And overall, Amadeus has been evolving. It is still boutique and European at heart. And as I said before, I would recommend Amadeus to someone who wants to go on a river cruise but doesn't want to be on guided tours. I have a friend who literally is like, I'm not a big fan of that. I just want to explore on my own. I would recommend Amadeus if you still want the option of being able to not have to worry about all of that stuff. So not have to worry about packing and unpacking, but still not have to pick shore excursions every day, or not have to pay for something you're not going to use. And that is really what I would say Amadeus is for. It is for people who don't want to pay for what they are not using. Anyways, I hope you have appreciated this episode. I will be posting more facts about Amadeus in my Facebook group, which is your cruise Cruise Better, Tips for River, Small Ships, and Expedition Cruising by Sydney. And we'll be kind of going into a deep dive more onto that. If there are questions that I did not answer about Amadeus, Waterways, and the next one that we are doing, which is actually not European, I threw one in that's not, American Cruise Lines, which is going to be next week. Let me know and I will answer them for you. I'm really just focused on providing that additional education for those who might not know what different cruise lines are and how many cruise lines there are for you to choose from. As I say, there is more than just Viking out there. If you have any questions or need any help about your next river cruise, you can email me at sydney@thepoodlebookedit.com. I actually just released, on terms of the Christmas markets, a really fun document on what river cruise to do for your Christmas markets experience, and when the Christmas markets are going to be open for this year, next year, and even 2027, because they are already releasing those dates and it is already being sold out. Christmas markets is the #1 time to go on a cruise, and they sell out quickly. Like, I'm looking for some people for 2026, and there's 3 cabins left on a couple of these river cruises. So just as a high level of things that I'm working on, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. If not, I will see you next week, and we will be talking about American Cruise Lines.